All right, guys, today we're going to ask ChatGPT how to make a beat. So let's ask it how to make an R&B beat. So I'm on the free version of ChatGPT. Let's say how to make an R&B beat step by step. And then I'll say give bullet point steps. Give bullet point steps. All right, let's see what ChatGPT says outside of saying I ran out of memory. Okay. It says, here's a clear step-by-step bullet guide to making a modern R&B beat. We're going to see how accurate this thing is. Think SZA, Front Fayez, Summer Walker vibe. Then it says, set the foundation. Set BPM between 60 and 80. Do we even talk in terms of BPM, normal BPM, like 60 and 80? So I think we're going to do double time. Let's double 65 BPM, which is 130 BPM. Because if we're going to add trap drums, you want like faster BPMs because you could do hi-hat rolls a lot easier. And it says 90 through 110 for modern bounce. So that's for like kind of 90s style in my opinion. So firstly, I think this could be have a little more detail because people don't necessarily know about double time. So that's a little tip I'll add in there. Then it says choose a key, common minor keys like A minor, D minor, F minor. So let's open up Keyscape here and let's choose a key. So I'm thinking let's go, it says A, D, or F. So let's go F minor because I know the chords around F minor a little bit better, and we can always transpose into A minor. We can always do key modulation, it's called. So here's F minor. We can do chords. Now again, I kind of roughly use F minor. I don't always stick to the diatonic chords. So sometimes I jump around like this. That's my favorite chord, the altered chord there. So we can get, spicy in terms of the chord changes. All right, so next it says, so we picked a key, so this is F minor. So let's rename this F minor just so we don't forget. Got the key, okay, key loaded. Now it says load a soft instrument, Rhodes, electric piano, soft pad, or guitar. So in this case, I chose grand piano, which is easy to write music in, but let's swap this out for the BusyWorks Beats sampler, busyworksbeats.com/sampler. In here, we have a really soft sound called let's go to the factory library. Let's go to ePiano. These sounds come with the actual plugin, our free version. Just go to busyworksbeats.com/sampler to grab it. So this is the factory library. It's called ePiano R&B for a reason. Okay, so let's play those same chords here. Let's even add a little pan to it. Let me turn this up just a little bit. There we go. All right, that sounds pretty dope for this vibe. Okay, so a soft sound, we got that. Okay, so now we're on step 2. It says build the chord progression. Use 7th, 9th, and minor chords. This is key for R&B feel. Example progression. It says A minor 7th. Then it says D minor 7th. Then it says G dominant, which is this. And it says C major 7. I mean, it could work. Let's see how we can make this work. We might have to revoice the chord though, because this is kind of a cheesy way. So I can kind of hear some of where they're trying to go. So let's not bash ChatGPT just yet. So let's start with A minor 7. I'm just gonna play the chord straight out like this. And I will give you guys the project files just so you guys can have some fun. So here's A minor. Now my ear wants to hear dun, dun. It wants to continue this jump. So it seems like if I had to analyze this real quick, A to D is going from the 5th to the tonic. Okay, so D to A is a perfect 5th away. And then the same thing, we're going from G to C, which is a 5th to its tonic. Okay, so now where can we go? So let's see how far. So basically what I'm saying is G to D is a perfect 5th, D to A is a perfect 5th. So if we work in reverse, C to G is a perfect 5th, 7 notes away. G to D is 7 notes away. And then D to A is 7 notes away. So basically, if we just subtract 7 notes, it seems like that's the formula here. All right, so let's subtract 7 more notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's gonna give us F. And then now we're going to subtract 7 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're getting B flat. So I'm going to have to write this down. There's a lot of chords here. All right. So we're going to enhance this just a little bit because my ear feels like it's it doesn't really complete what my ear wants to hear. So A minor 7, D minor 7, G 7th, C major 7th. Then we're going to go down to F major 7th. I don't even know if I can read all this in one. Duplicate this. And then we need to go down to, what was it, B flat? B flat 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So B flat major 7th. All right, so those are the chords. So let's try this chord progression. It needs to be like, or something like that. I don't know. We need to end it probably on A minor 7th. It says spread chords out, don't stack tightly. What does that even mean? So I guess it's talking about the chord voicing in this case, add inversions to make transitions smooth. So let's just record this in. We're doing too much theory talk. So we're on step 2. As you guys can see, it seems simple, but there's a lot of complexity here. So let's record just the chords they said, and then we'll try our chord progression. Let's try our chord progression. That was me just add my own little chord in there. Now that chord didn't hit the way I expected it to hit. So I need the top note to be, let me see. What is it? It was A. It needs to be G. So whatever this chord needs, or whatever this chord is, it needs to have G at the top. Okay, that's where we're going to use this F chord here. Okay, so I have a chord for this. Now this is not included in ChatGPT. Okay, we have to install this ourselves. But I figured out the chord I want. Or maybe I'll do... Okay, so we're going to do what's called an E dominant altered chord. I teach this at busyworksbeats.com/premium. So this is basically going to lead back to A minor 7th. That makes sense because it's the 5th. So we're going from the dominant chord. This is revoiced, so it's a sharp 5, sharp 9 to dominant 9th with the sharp 5, sharp 9. It's called an altered dominant chord. And then we're going to land back at A minor. So that makes sense. Logically, music theory wise, that makes sense. Okay, so that's what my ear wanted to hear. Okay, now that we have that chord added in, we added our little sauce to it. So it says spread chords out. Now, personally speaking, when we're playing A minor, there is an R&B way we could play it. So instead of just playing an A, C, E, G like this, which is kind of the vanilla way to play it, we can do what's called a raised third. So we could take the C and pull it up an octave. But when you play it this way, you usually need a bass to kind of help balance it out. So something like this. So how can we quickly convert these chords? We can do it this way. Just take this third per each chord. And since we have the same chords all the way through, we could just kind of do this in bulk. Here, it looks like I messed up that note, but that's fine. So we're going to take all the thirds and then pull them up an octave. Let's hit Control up. Now the next step we're going to do is copy the bass notes. So we're going to take all these root notes here at the bottom. Again, it looks more complicated on the screen. When you're playing this out by, with your hands, it's not that complicated. So we're going to take all these notes, duplicate them, and then hit Shift, left click to duplicate. Hit Control down. And now let's just change the velocity so it's not like, let's highlight all these bottom notes and let's hit Alt X. Okay, this pulls up the multiplication tool. Let's pull this down, level scaling tool. Let's just pull those down in velocity. So now it has a little bit more modern touch. Here's where we added our own change up. Okay, so it's pretty smooth of a progression. We could change up a couple things, but for the most part, it gets the job done. All right, so step 2 did take a little bit of what they call elbow grease, okay, to really kind of add our own style to it. So that took a little bit of knowledge that ChatGPT did not provide. Now it says step 3, create the melody, the top line. Use a simple, now notice we started with the chords, and this is a technique and a philosophy that I've noticed I've used more and more and more, is starting with the harmony, because the harmony helps your ear create melody. Okay, so there's 4 components to a song. A top line, which is your memorable melody, your harmony, which is your chords, the glue to the track. Then you have what's called a contrast layer. This is the bass or the density of the track, or the contrast of the top line. And then you have what's called a rhythm component. So all these things add up to a composition. Okay, so their tips on how to make a melody is use a simple emotional melody. What does that even mean? Okay, it's very vague. It just says use a simple emotional melody. Leave space, don't overplay. Use pitch bends, slides, especially for MIDI. Think like a singer, not a piano player. Again, you guys are looking for real melodic technique. That's just very vague. So what we're gonna do is use the F minor scale and figure out a way to simplify this to create melody. Let me go back to our sound here. Let's use the same sound, just on a different track. So that way it keeps cohesion. I forgot our chords, FS. So it's A minor. So really what I'm playing with the melody is a chord. I'm playing A, C, E, G. I'm playing an A minor chord. I'm just going A, C. I'm just playing the different notes of the chord. This is why chords are so important. They give you the template for which notes to use. So I'm literally just playing one chord, which is A minor. I'm just freestyling the notes. Probably play that with the metronome, so I'm not super guessing the tempo. Let's do this again. So the top line is literally just the first chord. It's A minor 7th. It's A, C, E, G, and I'm just playing it in different ways. And for the in-between notes, I'm just going up and down the scale, which is all the white notes. So it's A, C, E, A, C, G. So it's the 7th chord, minor 7th. Really simple. I'm just, again, playing a chord really. So it sounds like I'm doing this whole thing. Now, funny enough, I actually recorded on the actual track. Darn it, y'all. That was a good take, and it recorded on the wrong instrument. Wow, that was, now I gotta do that all over again. Let's do this again. Hey. So it wasn't the same exact performance, but it's similar. And again, like I said, if you map out all these notes, for example, if you stretch all these notes out, we're just playing one chord, A, C, E, G, and I'm just adding little notes in between. So we're really playing, if you really get to the science of this, we're playing a D minor 11th chord. So it's D, F, A, C, E, G. We're just playing one big chord. That's why I said chords are everything. Their melody, their harmony, their scales. We're just playing a big chord spread apart. Now, if I want to make it sound more exotic, I would play it like that. But let's just keep it basic because it said keep it simple. All right, so we didn't use any pitch bends. I don't think we needed pitch bends for that, really, except for the little at the very end. I don't really hear pitch bends needed on this one. Nextly, it says program the drums. It says kick, keep it minimal and bouncy. Place kick slightly off the grid for groove. All right, so let's figure out what kind of kick. Now, I just said any kick. It doesn't specify what type of kick. So it's very open. So let's use the, I believe they call this the rack kick or something like that, or the similar to the rack kick. Now, I said just do the kick first. So let's record this in. The thing is, let me get a bounce in my head first. So boom, something like that. I think that's pretty simple, very laid back kind of kick. Now it says to take it off the grid. Personally, I don't, let me see where we are. I guess it is kind of off the grid. It's not perfectly quantized, but it's more early than it is delayed. Now here's where it sounds a little amateur sometimes. Sometimes it is worth it to quantize. So let's quantize it to a quarter beat. Let's hit Command Q or Control Q. And what I'll do to kind of shift it off the grid is go to the sampler itself, turn up time shift just a little bit so it's not perfectly on the grid and it plays back. All right, nextly it says add a snare or a clap. Let's add a typical clap. Let's put this on the 2 and the 4 count. So if, or no, we're at 130, I forgot. So let's do 3 and the 7 count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, because we're at double time. Let's pull this back. Let's go to song mode. I'm going to quantize some of the melody just so it's not super off the grid. So this is the ChatGPT beat so far. Nextly it says add hi-hats. So let's add. Now it doesn't say, it says use triplets. Why would we use triplets on this? ChatGPT's suggestions are hilarious. Use triplets and rolls. I don't hear I don't hear that needed on this type of beat. Let's right click, fill each 2. But let's see where a potential triplet roll could occur. So right here at the end, let's create a triplet roll. Let's right click, go to piano roll, zoom in. We're gonna change the snap to grid here to 1/3 beat. And then we're just gonna draw the notes in like this. That's the triplet grid. Let's switch it back to 1/2 or 1/4 beat. It's a nice little change up in timing, so that's pretty cool. Then it says add rolls. So a quick way to add rolls is, let's figure out, let's add a roll right here. Let's highlight this. Let's hit Alt U to chop this up into pieces. You know what, that did add a vibe. So that at first it looks like bad advice, but then it turns into pretty decent advice. Nextly it says vary velocity for human feel. Now here's where with trap drums, we don't really mess with velocity, but let's try it. Let's do every other velocity. Let's turn the velocity down so it goes like like that. All right, so far, you know what, that does sound pretty decent using their approach. So I can't complain about the hi-hat advice. That hi-hat device is pretty accurate. All right, so it says place the snare on the 2 and 4. Now remember, we're in double time, so the 2 and the 4 is really the 3 and the 7 in double time. It says layer a clap and a rim shot for texture. Okay, I missed that step. So let's go back and let's find a rim sound to add this in. Now you can't really hear the rim, so I'm gonna go to the wrench tool and time shift it just so it's like nudged to the right so we can hear it a little more clear. So I'm not mad at the snare. Now it did give us key options. So here it gave me a very specific chord progression, but it didn't tell us we were in the key of A minor, but I just followed blindly. So let's say you want to write in the key of F minor and what you want to see what that sounds like. We can highlight both the top line and the chords here. Let's hit Control G. That makes it one pattern. In the pattern picker, we can right click over here and transpose. So to get from F from A, we're going to go down 4 notes. So let's do -4. Now we're in F minor. I think this sounds a little more emotional than A minor. Now let's change the sound out for a guitar. Let's see if it gives it a different vibe. Let's pull it up an octave. Let's try a different mallet. Let's try a vibraphone. No, this is just... I think we just had it right the first time. So far so good. Let's see what else we can do to this. Now, the one main area where ChatGPT was just not really giving us enough information was the melody section. And you guys saw how much tweaking we had to do to the chord to really make that our chord progression. So that was the starting point. So if it kind of gives you vagueness at the starting point, it's like beginners don't know where to go with that stuff. Now, I'm not critiquing ChatGPT. We're just trying to follow this along. All right, now it says use an 808. For modern R&B, let's see if we can find it. Let's use Spins 808, the good old Spins 808. Now this has a click at the end, so we have to fade this out at the very end and re-import it back into the sampler, just like that. So now the question is, what notes do we use? It says follow root notes. Okay, so that answered my question. Follow the root notes, but add slides, use passing notes between chords. It doesn't tell you what passing notes to use. So a formula to use is simply perfect fifths. So let me remember what chord what key we're even in. So we're in the key of F, and then we go to A. I don't remember all the notes because we transposed everything. So I'm just going to go by ear. We're probably just going to stick around the notes F and C for the bass. So when it says to add passing notes, a formula you guys can use really quickly is to use your root note, count up 7 notes. Okay, that's going to give you what's called the perfect fifth, and then go to your octave, and then use the note above the octave and above the fifth and above the tonic. These are your jump around notes. So it gives you more notes to work with when it comes to bass. Now, I don't think we're going to be changing the bass line that much, so let's just practice with this. Personally, I don't really hear an 808 on this track, but let me... So maybe it's something like that. 3, C, O. It's hard to really tell because, again, we're in a different key. So all right, so those are the notes. I'm going to go higher octave so I can hear. Messed it up again. Let's do this again. So now I'm going to go back and redo the kick pattern because it clashes with this type of swing. This 808's a little more bouncy. personally, if you have a, you know, spins 808, do you really need to kick the stack on top? I feel like sometimes kicks are a little too much energy for a track. So I don't know if we even need the kick for this one. Let's just add the tresillo in the very beginning and then leave it spacey. Keep it very spaced out type of kick, this tresillo bass, that I think that will work for this, because before the kick was a whole different pattern and it was clashing with that type of 808. It's a lot of energy to manage, however, in the mix, so this is the tricky part. How do we blend that kick with the 808 to where they're not competing for that headroom? For now, we'll just leave it. Now I said add slides and passing notes. So I'm going to add a little, this is just my technique. I'm going to add a note just before a landing note. And then what I'm going to do is turn the velocity down. So it goes like that. So like a ghost note. It adds a little more bounce. I can definitely hear like Kendrick and SZA on this type of vibe. Now it says the next step is to add texture and vibe. So what we're going to do inside of the sampler, we actually have texture. We're rolling out an update so you guys can have more textures. So let's add on the ePiano. Let's go to where it says the effects tab. Scrolled all the way down. Let's turn this on and let's add like a vinyl crackle, or we could do fire crackle sounds. We could do vinyl. Let's do vinyl. Then we can run this through the effects if we have any reverb. So this is very subtle, not to overtake. This is a very subtle texture. That says we can also use rain. Do I have rain in here? Yes, do rain. I think rain is a little distracting. We could cut out the lows, maybe turn down the low pass filter a little bit. It just seems very distracting as a sound for this record. Let's switch the sample. This might work actually. Yeah, this, okay. So that rain, the heavier rain doesn't sound as easy to work with. Now we can turn off what's called envelope follow so that it doesn't keep triggering. So that's a continuous sample. So that does fit. And it says reverse sounds for transitions. Do I have any reverse sounds? I'm trying to think. I don't even use transitions. I'm trying to think, what could we even use? I don't even know who has a crash cymbal. Man, I'm really thinking, who has crashes? I guess let's use, I know Cashmere probably has some crash cymbals in his thing. His cymbal transition. I have no idea what this sounds like, but it looks very loud. So let's drag this in. I have no idea. Let's just gain this down. Let's hit Alt, left click, and drag it to line up the impact with the actual downbeat. That's a pretty cinematic transition. Sounds dope though. Alright, so it's a nice crescendo in there, and then it says sound design and effects. Add reverb. So let's add reverb to our chords. It says add delay, ping pong delay. So switch this to ping pong. And it says use EQ to remove low end mud, add slight chorus. Okay. That chorus definitely added a vibe though. It made it way softer of a sound. Now Now it says arrangement, intro. So to arrange this, I'm just going to copy the same thing over and over and just remove stuff. So we don't need a top line right away. Personally speaking, these are in the wrong category. So let me fix this real quick. So it says to arrange this, the intro is just chords and texture. So we could take out all the drums and the bass. That makes sense. Then it says the verse is minimal drums. What does minimal mean? I mean, I guess I could take out the kick. Now I lost my, I guess that was the bass. Excuse me. All right, now let's pull the bass where bass goes. So I guess the top line is in the wrong. I forgot I grouped the two. So this is minimal drums because we don't have the kick, and then it says hook, full drums, and melody. So let's get rid of the melody. So let's go back here. We need to combine this and turn off the melody. I didn't realize it said no melody. Now it says to add a bridge to switch chords or drop drums. So we're gonna have to duplicate this or change up the chords entirely. So the basic arrangement here is intro, and then we're moving into the verse here with minimal drums, it says, and then we're moving into the chorus or the hook right here. So these first three things are three different things: intro, verse, and then the hook. So let me come up with a chord switch for the bridge. Now we can go to what's called the relative key. So we're in the key of F minor. So let's see, because I transpose everything, I have to kind of memorize how we did this. So the relative key, to be short, if you're in a minor key, you're going to count up 3 semitones. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to play the major scale from that point. If you're in a major scale, you're going to count down 3 semitones and then play the minor scale from that point. 1, 2, 3. So in this case, we started in F minor. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So that gives us A flat major in that case. So we could use chords starting from here. I don't know the whole, A flat major scale. So what I'm going to do is just transpose on my keyboard to save some time for the video. So I'm familiar with the C major scale, which is all the white notes. But because I don't want to learn a whole new scale just for this part of the video, we're going to transpose. So let's count down from C. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 notes down. So we need to transpose our keyboard 4 notes. And now I can play the C major scale and get A flat major. I know that's kind of convoluted sounding, but basically I just don't have time to learn a new scale for this part of the video. So we're going to have to do a little cheat code. All right, so now we have the scale. Let's see what kind of chords we can get. And again, we were using 7th chord, so let's start there. So the cool thing is with this relative key, I can even play over top of the existing key and it creates a nice contrast. So I'm going to practice over the existing key to make sure this vibe fits in the same vibe. I'm going to try different chords to add change ups in here. So now it says on the mixing stage, after we've added the bridge, it says to do an outro fade. So let's basically take the same chords and maybe the bass line and the drums. Let's take the snare, the hi-hat, and no kick. And then we're going to just basically group all these sounds to one mixer channel. So let's highlight everything. Let's go to the channel rack, make sure everything's in the mixer. Hit Control L. We're going to highlight all these sounds here. Hit Control to highlight these. Right click and route to this track only. So now we're going to call this the beat mix. And then we can right click here to create an automation clip on the fader of the group. And then we can right click, copy the initial values, move over here. Change your snap to grid to bar mode. Right click and right click, hit V to paste, and then right click and you can fade all the way down like that. And then I like to add just an ending node to restore the default value just in case FL goes crazy. So let's turn this down. So now the end should fade out. So fading out adds like a nice contrast because now we're actually feeling the dynamic range a little bit more as it fades out. So it says mix basics, keep drums hitting, but not too aggressive. I guess. So do we even have a kick in here? Yeah, we have a kick. So let's go to where the kick is. So that kick is a little heavy. Let's pull that kick back. So the kick is there, it's just not trap heavy. And it says sidechain kick slightly to the bass. So let's go to the kick. We're going to find the bass and then right click and sidechain to this track. And then we're going to find some tool. In this case, let's just use the Fruity limiter to keep this straightforward. We're going to go to compressor mode, right click and find the kick as the input. Turn your threshold all the way down, turn your ratio up, and then that should turn the volume of the 808 down every time that kick hits. And then we can mess with the release tail to make this smaller. Personally, I don't think this mix needs a sidechain. Let's see if a more aggressive, longer sidechain. I just feel like it's kind of kills the vibe. So it doesn't really help. So in this case, the sidechain tip, we're gonna skip that one. Then it says pan melody slightly left, right. So to do this, we can go back to our sampler, busyworksbeats.com/sampler, and just turn up what's called alternative panning. And then it says keep vocals space open even if no vocals yet. That's very vague. Then it says final sauce, imperfection vibe, slightly time shift, loose quantize, emotional chord choices, space is more important than filling everything. Then it says bonus pro tip, start with the chords first. We already did this, not drums. Then it says, that's my technique, by the way, use reference tracks. Not saying I invented it. Then it says use reference tracks, drag in a song you like, lower velocity of everything slightly for a softer feel. We already did all these things. Don't overlayer, R&B thrives on simplicity. Then it says, if you want, I can turn this into an FL Studio step-by-step template, a drill-based, I guess, like doing R&B drills, training system to master R&B production like your $100 million training style, or break down a real R&B song bar by bar so you can copy the formula. So let's see if it gives us the FLP. Create an FLP, because this will be interesting. All right, so now that we have ChatGPT making us a potential FLP, it says I can't directly create an FLP. So what was the template that they're talking about? I guess we already followed their template. So it didn't say to really add anything to the mix bus. It just said to make sure the drums aren't hitting too aggressively. And then it said add reverb. So it didn't really give mixing advice either. So the two main areas. All right, so this formula they gave us, personally, I can't see it getting any better because it doesn't limit us. It's just very plain and straightforward. But let's hear this all the way through. Add a little more life to this mix. Let's use the BusyWorks Beats EQ2. The song needs a little more energy to it, so let's turn up the drive knob. also running it through a compressor just to see if we can get more tone out of it. We just made a ChatGPT ad beat. So if you guys want to learn how to make beats like the pros, which you guys have seen, we had to insert some more pro technique throughout this. Go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. All right, guys, subscribe if you're new. It's Game from busyworksbeats.com. Peace.